In this video, you're going to be learning how to build your first AI agent inside n8n that actually helps your business convert more visitors into customers or subscribers. Let me show you a demo of what we're building today. We're on authorityhacker.com. That is our course site. And then if I go on this little chat that I have at the bottom right, that's what we're building. And this agent knows everything about the company and knows when to push people into the right call to action. So if I say, what is this website? You can see the answer is related to the website. So it tells you that we are a marketing education company. We provide training courses, etc. So if I ask, what are the courses? Then it gives you a list of courses. You can see it gives a short answer of what it is. I can ask how much they are. And it can just carry on the conversation and help people as they're getting used to using chat interfaces to get information. But most importantly, after a few questions, it asks the visitor, would I be interested in our free resource library? It's packed with prompts, tools, and links that we often mention, which is a lead magnet in this case. And say, yes, I want it, for example. And the chatbot is going to send me directly to that page and actually download my resource. So that's exactly what we're building now. We're going to be using a free version of n8n and build a very simple agent that does that. And I think a lot of you guys will like it because all the knowledge is actually managed inside a simple Google Doc. So you get to update the knowledge of your company in real time on a tool that everyone uses and knows how to use, and then that's going to change the way the chatbot responds. This can replace a tool like ChatBase that costs between $40 and $150 per month, doing the exact same thing. And we're going to build all of this inside n8n that you can self-install. I have made a video on that, so you guys can go and check it out. And it's going to teach you how to use the agent node, which is a really, really powerful module inside so that you can come up with your own agents based on this tutorial. Let's go. Okay, so for this tutorial, you need three things. The first one is you need to have n8n installed. I made a tutorial on YouTube on how to install it just for $5, so go and check that video if you don't have it. The second thing that you'll need is an API key from Gemini, and the reason we're using Gemini is because actually if you go in the studio, you will see that for the cheaper models like the Flash, etc., I'll use 2.0 Flash here, you actually get 1,500 free requests per day, which means this agent will stay completely free to you, even though it's using an AI API. And so that's really worth it. The only thing is you need to put your credit card on file to unlock these free requests. And once you've done that, you go in, get API keys, you create a project, and you click here, and that's going to give you one of the API keys. The third thing that you need to do is to connect your Google Drive and your Google services to n8n. It's a little bit of a process. It takes about 15 minutes. And I'm not going to go through this on this tutorial because there's a full guide made by n8n, which I'm going to be linking to below. Now, before we jump in, a quick reminder on how agents work. The way an agent works is basically you have an input that goes into the agent that would be either a chat prompt like we're going to do now, but that could also be a whole automation that you run before you run the agent. Then you have this agent that is connected to an AI model. In this case, we're going to be using Gemini 2.0 Flash because it's free and it's good enough. And then that agent also has access to tools, and that's really what makes an agent an agent. It can use things like search, it can access Google Docs or any kind of docs if you have it on Notion or something. It can use scrapers from services like Firecrawl or Apify or any API that you can think of. It can use it and it can take action. Then after that agent has processed everything, it gives you an output that you can put either in a chat interface or you can run an automation on the output. The agent you're probably the most familiar with is ChatGPT, right? If you go in ChatGPT and you ask it what happened in the world today, it's going to be using the search tool when it's thinking. So you can see it's running the think here. And now you can, if I actually go into the reasoning, you will see that it's actually running a bunch of searches. And these are agentic tools. So that's essentially what we're going to be building, except instead of searching the web, we're going to be searching our Google Doc here. So let's jump into the build right away. So we're going to go onto n8n and you're going to create a new workflow, and that's the window you're going to see. And you're just going to pick a first step. And here we're just going to pick a chat message. So we're going to pick the chat and we're going to make it publicly available, which is going to give you a URL that we're going to be using later. And you're going to select embedded chat. And that means we'll be able to embed it on the website like you've seen at the beginning of the video. We'll also add authentication so that the chat is a little bit protected and it's not like anyone can call it and just burn through your API key. So we're going to create a basic auth here. So I'm going to click on basic auth. You can see I have one already, but let's just create a new one. So I'm going to create one and I'll call it demo for the user, and then the password can be demo as well. The point is there's a username and a password that will be required to use your chat so that hackers cannot use it against your will. Once you're done with this node, you can actually close it. And here we're going to be adding our AI agent. So we're going to click on AI and then AI agent. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close this, and I'm going to start adding all the things that we talked about when we looked at the drawing here. The first thing I need to add is an AI model. So to go back to that, I'm going to go back to N8N, and I'm going to click to chat model. And here I'm going to select Google. And here you're going to be able to add your credentials, and you're going to add this URL is already filled out, and here you add your API key. I have it already filled out, so I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to pick Gemini 2.0 Flash because that's the one that gives me a lot of free API credits, which means it's very unlikely I would pay anything for running this chatbot. And now I have my AI model connected to my agent. If I already tried the chat at the bottom, if I say hi, it actually replies, hey, how are you today? But that's just a basic Gemini chat for now. It doesn't have any information about my company. And also it can't remember anything yet. So to add memory, we're gonna click on the little memory plus button here. And we're just gonna use the simple memory by N8N. And what you can do is you can select the window length, which is essentially how many messages does the chatbot remember before it starts forgetting. So here by default, you have 5. I would say for a side chat, maybe I would put like 10 or 15. The more you put, obviously, the more token that could cost you. But here I'm just gonna put like 10 or 15. 10 is fine, probably. So let's put 10. And now if I say something else in the chat, so if I say, hi, my name is Gail, and then I ask, what is my name? Now the chat remembers that my name is Gail because I told it before and because it has access to memory. As you saw in the agent, it used the memory to remember what my name was. Now, the last thing that we need to add to our agent is tools. And so the tool that we're going to be adding here is a simple Google Doc. And I know I could be using some crazy RAG database or anything like that, but for a simple site chatbot that answers support questions, you don't need to. And since you have a large context window for free with Gemini, you also don't need to. And it's just much easier for most people to maintain the Google Doc than a RAG database. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick the Google Doc tool. And here, as I said, you're going to need to connect your Google Doc account to N8N. It's something that's a little bit tedious. It takes 10 to 15 minutes, but you only need to do it once. After that, you don't really need to do it for any other Google service once you've connected all of them. So you will follow this guide. I'm going to put the link below. I have mine connected already. So just connect it and then pick your Google Docs account. And what you're going to do then is you don't want the agent to create documents. You want the agent to get documents. So we're going to select the operation get. And here it's just asking you for URL, but we obviously need our document. So how do you create a support document quickly? I do it with Gemini. So I have actually done it already. I literally ask it to use online search to write a full support manual for a support person for Authority Hacker and answer the most common questions. Is it essentially started, Googling a bunch of stuff, reading our website essentially through Googling it, and putting together a support manual. So I chatted, I was like, do more searches and put more stuff in there. Not all of it is up to date. You obviously should put some effort in that document if you're going to put this in production. But the idea is you can use the Canvas function in Gemini for free using 2.5 Pro to search your website, create some kind of manual for support chat to use on your website. So I've done that. And now what I can do is I can click on the share button and I can click on export to docs. Now I have a beautifully formatted, concise support document that I'm going to be providing access to my agent. So I'm going to be like agent doc, and I'm going to share it to anyone with the link. I'm going to copy the link, and I'm going to go back to N8N. And here I can literally just paste my Google Doc URL. And now what that means is that my agent has access to this Google document and can read the content. So I can constantly update information about my company, my services, whatever I do in this simple document, and the AI chat will be up to date in the information it gives, provided this AI chat actually reads the Google Doc. Because if I go and do a chat here and I ask, what is this website? It's unlikely it's going to be using the Google Doc. And the reason why is because I did not prompt it to do. So one of the major things that you need to do with agents is not only give them access to tools, but actually tell them to use the tools and when to use them. And that's something that's still quite manual. So what we're going to do in N8N is we're going to double click on our AI agent node. And you can see that the source prompt is the chat node, but here I can add an option for a system message. And I've prepared a system message already for this chatbot. So I have it here, and I'm going to switch to expression and click on that little arrow here that makes the prompt much bigger. We're going to go through it in a second, but just so you know, I'm going to give you access to that prompt if you download the resources associated with this video that are in the pinned comment below and in the description. So if you want to just download the prompt so that you can tweak it yourself, feel free to go and download it there. Anyway, let's just go through the prompt quickly. The first section is the context, which essentially tells the agent what it is, which is a support agent. And his primary role is to assist website visitors and answer their questions about the business. And it reminds it that your knowledge on all answers must be derived from the information contained within the Google Doc tool provided to you. Then after that, it reminds it that it should be helpful, professional, make response clear and easy to read, etc. Then after that, we have the instruction section that essentially tells it how the workflow is going to work. So the first thing that happens is, well, the agent receives a question from the user. Then after it receives a question, it will analyze the user question and understand what the user needs. After that, it's going to go and read the Google Doc every single time. It's marked as a critical step and it's bolded. And then based only on the content found in the document, give an answer that's clear, helpful, very readable, and conversational. That's basically what it says here. Then after it delivered the answer, it's going to conditionally sometimes ask the user if they want to download one of our lead magnets so that I can help the user on my website, but I can also gently guide them towards a conversion, which is capturing their email in that case, but that could be booking a call with you or anything you want. And here it gives it essentially instructions on when to prompt the user to download a free lead magnet, which is like, don't do it after the first question, do it if the user is engaged, etc. And then make a soft offer like, hey, it looks like you're interested. Maybe you want to download one of our free resources. And then if the user says yes, it will give it the information. If the user says no, it will not give it the information. And so that's pretty much it. After that, we have the output format, which is essentially the style of answer. Again, direct, factful answers based on the Google Doc, short paragraphs, very sentence structure. And it gives a few examples. Like, for example, it was doing a big block of text when answering. So I gave it an example on answers with line breaks and so on. So it's just easier to read. And then also examples on how to offer the lead magnet. Then it has some stylistic constraints and rules. So like, make sure you follow the Google Doc. If you don't know what you're talking about, just tell them that you can't help them. Here's how to offer the lead magnet, etc., etc. And then a few examples of conversations and how they should go, basically. So that's the prompt. Again, you can download it if you want, but the idea is that you follow the same sections for your prompt: the context, the instructions, the output format, the rules and constraints, and then some examples. And that's pretty much it. So now that we've done the prompting, it should actually start answering and use the Google Doc for the answers and actually give me the answers I'm expecting from this agent. So if I ask it, hi, what is this website? Then you see it's actually reading the doc and is giving me an answer. Hi there, this website is from our company, authorityhacker.com. We're an industry-leading online marketing education company. We provide training courses, a blog, and a podcast to educate beginners and expert marketers on building profitable authority sites, blah, 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 blah. And then I could say, like, what are your courses? And obviously, it's based on the courses that we don't sell anymore, so don't try to buy them. But the point is that now it has the context of the document. It doesn't need to check it again because it has it in memory. And so it tells me what the courses are. And I'll be like, how much does it cost? And you can see that based on all the context of that document, it gives me the correct information. And you can see that after answering a few questions, it's actually asking me, hey, you look interested. Do you want to download our free resource libraries back with the prompt tools that we often mention, which is the lead magnet I ask it to promote? And I say, yes, I want it. And now it's going to offer me essentially to click on the link. The link is not clickable here, but it will be on the website. And if I go on that page, that should be the right page that actually allows me to download the lead magnet. And that's the chatbot doing exactly what I want. So I'm pretty happy with where it's at right now. The next thing I need to do is actually implement this on my website, and that's what we're going to be doing next. So the good news to implement the chat on your website is that N8N has a free front-end implementation of the chat if you want. Now it's going to look a little bit scary because it gives you snippets of code, etc. The good news is with the help of AI, we don't really need to understand everything it does. All we need to do is, again, go to our trusted Gemini, which I'm going to here. I select 2.5 Pro, I select Canvas. You can do that in ChatGPT. You can also do that in Claude if you want. Just make sure you use the Canvas function. And then I give it the following prompt. Study this snippet and give me the CDN embedded in Canvas that is pointed at the webhook. And here I need to put the actual URL of my webhook. So the way I get it here is I go back to my N8N, I double click on the chat, and you can see I have this URL here, right? So I'm going to copy this and then put this URL here. First message is from Gail, says, how can I help you today? But obviously you can change that however you want. Then I ask it to actually brand it like Authority Hacker by giving the color codes of my brand. And then after that, I need to give it the login and password that we created, right? So you remember we created this password in credentials, and then I'm gonna go back and I'll be like user, demo, and then a pipe, password, demo. Then I say, give me only the link and script elements. And after that, what we're gonna do is we're going to go to the n8n page, which again is linked below. And you can literally take all the content of that page, including all the code snippets. That's quite important, so AI understands it. And I'm gonna give it to Gemini. So I'm going to skip a line, put maybe 3 dashes to show it's separated, and then I gave it all the code. And what's going to happen is AI is going to essentially study the documentation, implement all the settings that I gave it, and give me the code that I can copy paste on my website. And once your prompt is ready, one thing that we want to do as well is we want to turn on our actual automation. So we're going to go back to n8n and actually activate it. Otherwise, we won't be able to test it within Gemini. And it won't work. So I'm going to activate it, and then I'm going to press go, making sure the canvas button is pressed. So you can see after some time, Gemini starts writing the code, and in principle, we should be able to actually test it. So you can see that now we actually have a preview. And if I look under like this little thing at Gemini features, like I can actually see my chatbot, and you can see actually I have the chat here. I'm not sure I love the colors, but that's fine. Let's just test if it works. Hi, what is this website? And if I send this, in principle, that goes to n8n, and then that comes back to this widget, and I should be told it's authority hacker. Yep. The good thing now is that if you don't like the way this widget looks, you can actually vibe code it within Gemini. So if I say, for example, make the chat background white, and add a notification number 1 on the chat button when it's collapsed to make users click it. And Gemini will be able to change the style of my chat however I want, so you actually have full control here before we actually implement it on your website. And because I expect most of you guys are still running on WordPress, I have shown how to implement such a chat on the last Authority Hacker podcast. But if you're on WordPress, like many people, and you want to implement this, then what we're going to do is we're going to install a new plugin called Code Snippets. So you go in your plugin repository, so you go in Plugins, Add New Plugin, and you look for Code Snippets. Here, you find it here, and you install it. You can see it needs an update here. The point is, once you've installed it, you have this little menu here, and you can click on Add Snippet. Once you go here, you can add a custom code snippet, and I'm going to select HTML snippet. I'm going to go back to my Gemini, and then I'm going to click on code, and then you can see I can actually see all the code here. And one thing that you want to make sure of before you actually go and implement this is that it only gave you a link tag, a style tag, and then the actual script. You don't want a full web page. You just want this. And if it did not, you need to remind it of that. It's in the initial prompt, right? It actually says here, give me only the link and script elements. And just make sure it does that. Sometimes it will derail and not do that. So just double check that. Then you copy this, you paste it into your code snippet, and then you can auto-insert it anywhere you want. So in this case, you probably want to put it in the footer for your page speed. It's just going to be better. And most importantly, you can enable some conditional logic. So let's say you want it, for example, only on pages or only on posts. Well, you can enable the logic and it says show and then where page, and then you put type of page, and you could say show it only on the home page, or show it only on single posts and pages. Or you could even say post type, for example, and you could say only on pages, for example. And then it would not show on my blog posts, but it would show on the core pages of my website. So maybe let's do that. So I'm going to click active, and I'm going to save that snippet. Now, if you are using some kind of caching on your website, you want to clear your caching because that's going to not load properly otherwise. And I'm using Cloudflare as well, so I'm going to purge that. And in principle, if I go on my website, I now have my little chat button here, and I can click hi. I can say hi, and this connects directly to my n8n, and I can actually ask some questions and chat with my chatbot. So that's how you build a custom n8n chatbot, connect it to a free AI model from Google, and implement it on your WordPress site, on any site you want, really. As long as you can implement this code snippet, you can do that. And that can significantly help your conversions as people are moving more and more towards using chatbots to find information. Most importantly, in this video, you've also learned how to build a basic AI agent that uses tools. In this case, we're using Google Docs, But now you can expand your horizons by connecting all sorts of tools. You can connect, you see, for example, on N8N, you have a lot of pre-built integrations with tools already. So if I wanted to connect, for example, Notion and make it create pages, for example, instead of retrieving them, etc., I can have an AI agent do that as long as I connect the tool and I tell the agent how to use it. You can connect MCP tools to connect to even more external tools. And then you can mix agents with other automation elements. So you could take this thing here, and then you could run another agent after that filters the result or something like that. And you can build very complex automations. Really, sky is the limit here. And just a quick reminder, if you want to download all the prompts and the stuff that I mentioned in this video, there's a link in the description and in the first pinned comment. And you'll just have everything, and you can just copy paste all the prompts, etc., without having to pause the screen. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want more kind of like agentic workflows. Should we go deeper? And most importantly, what do you want me to build? Because it's like, you know, sky's the limit, but I want to know what you guys want to see, how to build, and I'll try to make videos showing you how to build that. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.